A press conference titled Denial of Civil Liberties in Israel took place last night in Jerusalem. The event took place during the days of the UJC General Assembly in order to bring the issue to the awareness of the participants of the international conference. INN TV was there.
The reason for tonight's conference at the King David Hotel during the General Assembly of Jewish Federations from North America is to make sure that Jews abroad know about the systematic abuse of civil liberties by the government of Israel.
The problem with the Judea and Samaria, the law enforcement, the harsh law enforcement measures goes hand in hand with the Supreme Court, the way they treat the settlers or the settlement themselves as a totally unlawful event.
One of the things that's so sorely missing in this country is a really understanding of basic democratic principles. And I'm not talking about the ordinary man or woman in the street. I'm talking about the leaders of the country, the leaders of the judicial system, Supreme Court justices, for God's sake. They talk to you repeatedly about something called the rule of law. What they mean by that is what they perceive as the obligation of every citizen and resident to abide by the law. Well, I've got news for them, and maybe for some of you. That is not what we mean in international law when we talk about the rule of law. When we speak about the rule of law, the requirement that the government officials abide by the rule of law, not just the people that they're ruling.
These are the arguments that the state prosecution brings before the judge in order to keep this child, who was 14 at the time, in jail for the crime of speaking rudely to a police officer. I ask you to please listen carefully. If the court releases these minors, Chaya and her two friends, to the house arrest, full house arrest, which is what we asked the court to do, their danger still stands. In other words, they're still dangerous to the state, even if they're released to house arrest. Where is the danger? To the state and to the public if these children are released to house arrest. It's in that they will continue speaking to their friends. They will share with them their experiences, and in that way they might convince other kids to do the same thing.
So we have esteemed jurists from our Supreme Court taking the public podium and attacking whole legions of citizens who are exercising the right of civil disobedience.
These children were placed in solitary confinement for days. Water was turned off in their cells.
The fact that a peace process is created around the issue of deprivation of human rights and civil liberties, most people forget that the week before, on September 3rd, 10 days before, the Oslo process was signed on the White House lawn, and again, remember, never ratified by the PLO. Mr. Rabin said the purpose here is to create a state which would be free of civil liberties. Now, he was not only referring to the Palestinian Authority, he was also referring to what's going on here.
Once she got out and the next batch of girls was arrested, they moved on to strip searching these girls after every visit by the parents, which was once a week, in order to search for drugs. That was their plan.
The issue of civil liberties runs in the veins of every Jew abroad on almost every issue. And there's an old expression, a problem is a problem when someone makes it into a problem. The concept of getting Jews abroad to start asking questions and to start looking at the website israeljustice.com, to show 105 systematic violations of civil liberties and human rights. This is something that should concern every person and every Jew in the world.
While Chaya was in jail, I approached every human rights organization in Israel, including the Agudah Leman Zkuyot HaEzrach, including B'Tselem, everybody I could think of, because I thought, how could they sit quietly over this? They did. I understood that they have their own segments of the population which they worry about, which they want to protect. Fine, Gesundheit. They obviously don't have enough money or interest to protect me and my children. So we have to have an organization that will do that for us. And I think that's where Honenu comes from.